In 2017, a group of cooks in Delhi created something many people considered a completely pointless exaggeration. A single bhature over a meter and 20 centimeters in diameter. That's not a translation error. We're talking about a fried bread that normally fits in the palm of your hand, transformed into a golden disc the size of a coffee table. The scene looked like pure madness, made just to go viral. But here's what almost nobody knows. That record wasn't born from a silly bet between friends or pure showmanship. It was born from an attempt to change, once and for all, the reputation of a dish that, decades earlier, had been invented by people who had literally lost everything. And the reason this giant bhature was created reveals a layer of history most food videos never tell you. To understand this, you have to go back to 1947, the year of the partition of India. Millions of people were forced to leave their homes overnight, crossing newly drawn borders, often with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Entire families arrived in Delhi with no property, no savings, and no guarantee of what came next. Among those people was a man named Peshori Lal Lamba, who came from Lahore and opened a restaurant in Delhi called Quality. Also among them was Sita Ram, another refugee from the same city, who started selling food from a street cart with his son by his side, in a version of the business that would eventually grow into one of Delhi's most recognized chole bhature establishments. The two of them, each in his own way, helped popularize a combination that already existed informally in Punjab, chana masala, a spicy chickpea curry, served alongside bhature, a soft fried bread made from dough fermented overnight in yogurt. What began as survival, as a way to rebuild a life with empty hands in an unfamiliar city, turned, over the decades, into the most famous breakfast in India's capital. Here's the first twist of the story. The dish that today is synonymous with celebration, weekend mornings, crowded streets and long lines, was born directly out of the forced displacement of refugees trying to rebuild their identity in a new place. This isn't folklore passed down loosely. It's documented history, tied to real names, real restaurants, and real dates. And it didn't stay static, either. Over time, regional variations emerged. A darker, tangier version called pindi chole, colored by ingredients like dried amla, and a red-hued style known as Pahari chole from the hill regions. By the 1970s at Delhi University, students had even given the dish its own nickname, calling it simply sea bats. A meal born out of displacement had, within a couple of generations, become so deeply embedded in daily life that it earned campus slang. Now fast forward to 2017. Decades after that origin marked by loss and reinvention, chole bhature already carried a very different kind of reputation. Heavy, extremely greasy, a guilty pleasure nobody should eat too often. Health-conscious conversations in Indian cities increasingly treated it as an indulgence to apologize for. And that reputation is exactly what motivated the creation of the giant bhature. An olive oil brand deliberately sponsored the event with a specific, calculated goal. Use that massive bhature, over a meter in diameter, fried and lab-tested, to prove it was possible to prepare the dish while absorbing up to 42% less oil than the traditional recipe. Independent testing was involved. The record wasn't just about size for the sake of spectacle. In practice, it was a quiet campaign to reposition a historically stigmatized dish, using scale as the hook to get people talking about the substance underneath. And here's the second twist, maybe even more interesting than the first. This wasn't an isolated marketing stunt that came and went. Since 2012, every October 2nd has been unofficially celebrated as International Chole Bhature Day. Think about that timeline for a second. A street dish, born out of the tragedy of refugees rebuilding their lives from nothing, now has its own commemorative date on the calendar, appears on international lists of the world's best breakfasts, and has become a point of proud rivalry between different neighborhoods and restaurants across Delhi over who makes the definitive version in the city. Some food historians even trace loose culinary echoes of the dish as far as Trinidad, where a popular street food called doubles is sometimes described as a distant adaptation carried over through migration and cultural exchange, though that connection remains debated rather than fully confirmed. So the next time you see a giant food video online, a bhature the size of a car wheel sizzling in an oversized pan, it's worth remembering that behind the visual spectacle, there's often a much deeper story sitting quietly underneath it. In this specific case, a story about people who lost everything in a single year, started overselling food on the street with nothing but a cart and a recipe, and without ever imagining it, created a dish that decades later would be big enough, literally, to enter a record book, not just for its size, but for the entire, unlikely journey it took to get there.